All right. Now that we are here, we're going to talk about equations in SolidWorks. Now, I have prepared this component over here, which has an odd geometry. I'm not sure if you're familiar with stents. They are a really small, tiny component that you implant into your artery vessels in your body, and they expand to open any contracted or blocked artery in the bodies, if people have that. So it's not about that. It's about how you can create it in SolidWorks, which I'm gonna show you in a moment, and how you can use equations in SolidWorks effectively to expand your geometry and see how your geometry looks like in higher diameters. For example, this component now is at the diameter of 2. I'm gonna increase it to 3. It might take a few seconds and then it expands automatically. If I go to even higher, let's just make 4. So I get an error because of the features that I have used, but it expands nevertheless. So let's just go back, and actually we don't need this anymore. I'm gonna show you how to get to this point starting from scratch. It might take a few minutes to make it work because equations is a little bit tricky, but don't worry, don't be overwhelmed, and we will get there step by step together. Before I start, a big hi to whoever is watching, Ali, Anna, Dozip, thank you for watching. If you guys ready, let's get into this. So I just started a new file, and I'm gonna go on the front plane to draw my base sketch. So there are some calculations that we need to be doing in order for our sketch to work. Since I assume you're not absolute beginners, because equations is not meant for beginners, I'm not gonna explain everything that I click on. Rather, I will just tell you the bigger image and tell you about the bigger image and let you figure the rest out for yourself. So this is my base sketch. At the moment, I'm preparing the drawing in a way that it could make sense. And let's just continue this over here. We need to have a base sketch that repeats itself over the circumference of a circle, and the number of the repetitions plus the distance of the repetition should come to the total value equal to the circumference of your circle. If I go back and open the base sketch and show you, I can talk. Let's just delete it. Delete everything we have. Actually, you know what? Let's just continue on this because the sketch is already at hand. I'm just going to go ahead and delete every dimension we have because we saved some time on drawing the part. So get rid of every drawing we have and get rid of this center line and that. And now I'm going to go over here, select display or delete relations, and delete every relation this sketch is having to this second, and click OK. Hi, Sherwin. Okay, so we have a drawing over here. It's completely underdefined. You can see it on this bottom right corner. And now, before we get to the equations, I need to tell you that in order for your equations to work effectively, your 2D sketch has to be fully defined, and it cannot be no entity can be left underdefined. Otherwise, at some point, you will come to an error or it doesn't work in the first place. So let's just start off by applying some relations and dimensions before we actually apply the equations to the sketch. So our sketch is completely underdefined. I'm gonna select these two and make them equal and parallel. I'm gonna do the same for these two, equal and parallel. I'm gonna highlight this curve, control and this curve, and make them equal. Let's just repeat the same procedure for these two, make them equal. Now, since I want these two struts to expand vertically without being inclined to the right or left, I'm gonna make this point fixed, because you need one fixed point, one anchoring point. Otherwise, your sketch is completely floating in this or on the front plane. And I'm gonna take this point, hold the control key down, and pick this point exactly here and make them go in a vertical relation with each other. Why did I pick this point, if you ask? Because the distance from this point to this point is where this sketch repeats itself. If you don't know what I mean by that, I can easily show you by duplicating the sketch. Go in here, copy it, set it to from to, and pick it from this point. So I have a copy of this sketch over here, and if I place this point on this point, you can see it continues itself onward. So if I place it here, you have a discontinuum over here or anywhere else. These 2 points, therefore, has to be in a vertical relationship with each other. Now, since it's going to expand itself, or at least I want it to expand itself symmetrically, I'm going to go ahead, use center line to draw one horizontal line here and another one over here. Adil, you're not that late. We haven't actually got into the equations on itself. I'm just preparing the drawing. So let's just pick this point, hold the control key down, obviously, pick this point and this center line and make them go symmetric, and do the same for these 2 points as well. Make them go symmetric. One last important thing is to make these 2 curves, actually 4 curves, tangential to all these straight lines. So these 2, these 2. By the way, how's the audio of the how's the quality of the audio? I think it's a little bit difficult to do SolidWorks and talk at the same time and read the comments. Hi Ovis, how's the audio? Do you hear any echo, or is that good? Okay, the last one was not needed, so we can get rid of that. Now I think we're set. However, we might come across some errors that we have to go back and edit, but to this point we didn't need equations. From this point on we need the equations. Now you can find equations in tools over here, but I have applied a shortcut to that, which is Control E for me, so do not wonder how this window pops up here. Every time you see this, I'm pressing Control E over here. I have set some global variables over here. Setting a global variable is as easy as just typing the variable A, whatever, or you can just type A1 and press enter. Now you can assign a value, numerical value, to your variable. As easy as that. So I have some here, ST, SG, they don't matter. They actually, it means strut thickness or diameter, compressed diameter, expanded. You can name it as you wish, and you can also type your comments in case you forget what these variables represent. Hi Gary, welcome. So let's just go back and use these variables and apply them to our 2D sketch, which is in an underdefined state, and make it go fully defined. Now, simply use smart dimensions. For this one, I don't need to apply any variable, so I'm gonna make it be at 2, doesn't matter. Again, for the arcs, you don't need a variable, you can just apply a fixed dimension. What you need a variable for, specifically important, is the distance from this point to this point. So let's just leave it hanging over there for a while. We are going to repeat this segment X number of times, and the distance from starting point to the end point after repetition X amount of times has to be equal to the circumference of the tube or cylinder that you're going to wrap this sketch around. So let's just say, for the sake of this example, we're going to have 10 number of these sketches. Okay, so the circumference of our tube, which I set at diameter C, has to be equal to 10 times this value. So we have to work it backwards. First thing first, in order to apply a equation here, you have to press equal. How can I press equal? That's interesting. That's one of the downsides of typing in English keyboard having a German keyboard set in front of you. So you just type equal, then you see all the variables that you have previously created. I'm gonna pick the diameter C. So diameter C times pi equals the circumference, right? And we said we need 10 of them, so I'm going to divide it by 10. You can just easily write the equation right here and click OK. So after that, I see this symbol next to my dimension. It means it's being controlled by equations. I cannot easily change it again unless I delete or break the chain. OS, which part of it do you want me to repeat? If it's the equations, I'm going to apply it many times more. So if you missed it this time, pay attention now, because I'm going to apply another dimension here. For example, I want this thickness to be connected to my equation. So I just type back to square one equal. Okay. It needs to be equal to, I'll just say ST. So you just type equal, then you pick the variable you want, the equation. Okay. So the equations, you find it over here, the tools, equations. Then you just type whatever you want, press enter, and assign a value to this variable. And next time you're applying at this dimension, you can type equal and type the name of that variable, and that variable's value will be assigned to that dimension. Okay. So I'm seeing something that I don't like. Let's see what happened. If I drag this part up, it doesn't move. Oh, because the dimension here is fixed. Let's just if I make this go horizontal, it doesn't work. That was the part that I told you we might come across. It's not that bad actually. It's still symmetrical, so it might still work. Let's just leave it at that and see what happens. But we have to apply enough dimensions for this sketch to go fully defined. Therefore, it is not ready yet. Are these two equal? Yes. Let's just rebuild it, go back to it again, see if it changes. No. If I change this value to 3, the sketch actually adjusts itself. It looks already good. For some reason, it is still underdefined. Oh, it's because of this value. So we need to assign a value for this, which is not driven, but still it is underdefined. So this is not this value anymore. This is the radius for this curve. No. How about this one? Also no. Okay, it's this one. They have to be equal. I thought equal curve length. Still no. Gravity if you want. I'm not sure it's an artifact or it's actually not fully defined, because I cannot think of anything else. Let's just make these two go parallel. See if it helps. No. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't even know what happens, because it moves and it just jumps back. But it's still working. Well, let's just continue with this and come back and try to fix it and make it go fully defined after we made the point, okay? Because otherwise it might take a little bit longer. Now I'm gonna go ahead and rebuild this sketch. This sketch is already not necessary, and we can zoom back. So we said we want to have, did we say 8 or 10? No, we said we want to have 10 of these segments to create our final expanded diameter. So that means our final expanded diameter has to have this value times 10 times p, right? Therefore, you rebuild the sketch. You go to a different plane. You cannot go on front because so far you have been drawing on front plane. You have to pick something that cross this drawing, something like right plane, which is really far away, but that doesn't matter. Make it go normal to start a drawing and draw 2 circles like this randomly. Now, the dimension of the smaller one has to be diameter C. Diameter C, yeah. You can click OK. And the diameter of the bigger one has to be diameter C plus whatever. That doesn't matter. As long as it is bigger than this, that's okay. Let's just say +5. We don't care. And we can go to the Features tab to extrude it. And in this way, we are going to create the tubing that we want to wrap our sketch on. So this is the tubing, and we have our sketch ready. Now we can go to the Features tab, pick Wrap, pick this sketch, and pick the inner surface of our cylinder. Set it to Emboss, wrap a value, something like, doesn't matter, 0.3. I'm not sure if in the US you're working with different units. Then you're not working with metric system, but inches, but it's not that important. Convert entities, go to features. We are going to get rid of this tubing now. This tubing has served its purpose and now it has to go away, and we are left with the wrapped version of our 2D sketch. Now all is left is to repeat it on a circular basis 10 times. So we go to circular pattern, set it to bodies because it's a solid body, pick it, set the direction 1 and pick the inner surface of that. That's 8 of them, 9, 10. Looks good already. So we have it, but it's not finished yet because we have, if you look here, we have 10 solid bodies. Each of them is 1. We need to combine them all together. By the way, if you don't have combine, because I have customized my SolidWorks menu here, if you don't have it, you can just search for it in this search bar and find it easily. It was there, but it's grayed out. Look, if I type combine, it's here. It's grayed out because we have only one solid body. That's why it's grayed out. Now, control it again to bring back the equations. Let's pray. 4. It worked. Perfect. Why did it work? Because by setting diameter C, that variable, to 4, you are both changing your base sketch, which is now under this wrap feature. It increases this value because it recalculates this value by diameter C times pi divided by 10, and at the same time it changes the diameter of the circle that you have adjusted, so it expands while the other sketch expands. And that's why they all, or both ends meet at the end, and it makes sense. So let's see how far we can go up. Okay, 5. It's still working. At some point it should give you an error because the sketch cannot go further than that. Still going up, not bad. 8. Good. Let's just not try further. That's good. So this is our sketch. Still one solid body. Using equations, we can expand it radially. Now, that was pretty much it for the equations. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer it for you. Otherwise, I would encourage you to practice SolidWorks a lot, because these things come to you by practice and practice. In fact, you can actually enjoy modeling much more when you don't have to think about your next move, right? Because as engineers, you feel satisfied most when you get to think about your imagination and focus on the solution you're working on. And if you get this friction of where to click, what feature to use from the way away, you can focus on actually creating and you feel much better. So for that, I have a library of tutorials on my website that you can achieve and practice. sorry, you can get and practice, because through repetition it becomes all second nature to you. You don't want to think about how to design a stand, how to make the stand or such geometries expand through equations, because you don't want to think about that. You just want to do it and eventually get on with your solutions. On top of that, I have a download section that you can download your drawing sheet, go to the YouTube channel and practice with the video. I got a question. Oh, Ali, thank you very much. I noted your 5.50 euros. Thank you very much for that. Always, is your question answered? Because I postponed your question to the end. Now let me know if you want me to repeat that still, or you're good with that. Adil, thank you very much. Andre, is this in the CSWA exam? No, I'm not. I don't know yet about CSWA, but I assure you it is in the CSWP exam. If you were going for the Certified SolidWorks Professional exam, you definitely have to work with equations. Yes, because they give you a 2D sketch and they tell you a bunch of variables as equations to apply to your part, and later on as you go on through the questions, they tell you to change the variable to a different numerical number and recalculate the part. So it is in CSWP exam for sure. I've never taken the CSWA, so I'm not 100% certain on that. So if there is no more question, I would like to thank you all. Please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to go live again next Saturday. If you have any topic you want me to cover, make sure to leave it as a comment underneath this video, and I will see you next week.